Here's something that they'll never teach you in school. Let's assume that you're an investor and you're investing your money into this company A. And company A makes $1 million a year in revenue, and they are left with $200,000 a year after their expenses, meaning they're $200,000 a year in profits. But if you dig a little bit deeper into company A, what you see is that they have two different divisions. They have division 1 right here, and then division 2 right here. Two very different divisions. However, division 2 makes up 80% of the revenue, and division 1 makes up 20% of the revenue. And then if you dig a little bit deeper, what you see is that division 1 has half of the employees and half of the expenses. So this is 20% of the revenue, but 50% of the expenses. And division 2 is also 50% of the expenses. So now if you are an investor, you're looking at this saying, Division 2 is bringing in most of the revenue, and it has the same number of employees, the same amount of cost, the same expenses as Division 1, which is bringing in just 20% of the revenue. So you're spending, if you have $800,000 a year in expenses, $400,000 of expenses here, $400,000 worth of expenses here. You're spending $400,000 here to bring in 20% of the revenue, but that same $400,000 of expenses here is bringing in 80% of the revenue. Now you as the investor are seeing this and saying, we got to do something here, because you don't get paid a salary, you get paid based off of the profit as the owner, right? You're getting a profit share, you have the valuation of the company, the bigger the profits, the more the company's worth, so you want to have bigger profits. So you might say, you know what, we need to let go of the people here, we need to get rid of this division, that way we can focus here. Because if you were to fire everybody here and you were to shut down Division 1, well now all of a sudden you have increased the amount of profits that you have in the company. Because now you have $400,000 worth of expenses and only 80% of the revenue, which is $800,000. Which means if you get rid of Division 1, which is this money pit, you will now have $400,000 a year in profits, because now you got rid of the money-sucking division. You got rid of the things that were not working. And so this now is the mindset of an investor, where now you are trying to find out the most efficiencies, the most productiveness, and you want to have the best allocation of your capital. You want to put your money to use in the best place that's going to give you the biggest return. If you're investing in a company in the stock market, if you're investing in startups, if you're investing in real estate, if you're trying to build a company, you want to see it increase in your profits and you want to see a growth in your valuation. But now let's flip things up just a little bit. And let's assume now that you are not an investor in company A, and rather you are a worker in company A. And a little bit more specifically, let's assume that you work right here in Division 1. And so now you're working every single day to get a paycheck, you're doing whatever the job requires, and you think you're doing a good job. And then all of a sudden, one day, you go to work, and then you found out that you're getting fired. Now, your smile is going to go from this smile to a big frown. Why? Because you were relying on this paycheck. You didn't really have much risk besides the job being lost, because now you don't have to invest any money, you don't have to go into debt to build the company, you don't have any personal loans to build the company, but you were relying on your paycheck to live your life. And now what happens? Well, this paycheck just went away. And now you have to go out and find another job, hopefully soon, because you have expenses to pay, you got your mortgage or your rent, you got your car payment, you got your kids to feed, you got to pay for everything else. And now you're the one that's struck, and now you're hating the company because you're saying, why would you let me go? The company was mismanaged, it wasn't run well, and now you're out trying to figure out why the system keeps trying to screw you over. And this is where now you have to think a little bit different and understand where school lacks. School teaches you to be an employee. Now this could be any type of employee. It could be a manufacturer, this could be an accountant, this could be an executive. I mean, this works along the whole spectrum of employees. School teaches you to be an employee. It teaches you to be a worker in a company. Now, there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but you have to understand how the system works and what school teaches us, because there's a difference from just being an employee to being an owner in a company. Whether you hate it or whether you love it, this is how our economic system works. The way our system works, it is designed to benefit the people who own and invest in the companies. Not just the system, but our laws are also made that way. There is something called fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty means that the people here who run the company, the executives of a company, their duty is not to take care of the customers. Their duty is not to take care of the employees. Their duty is to take care of the shareholders, the investors of a company. So what the executives are trying to do is they want to maximize this. They want to maximize growth, they want to maximize profit, and they want to maximize the valuation of a company. The valuation means how much a company is worth. The more the profits or the more that a company is growing, the more that a company is worth. And so in this system, the people who are benefited the most are the people who own a piece of the company, not just the workers. Now, when you are a worker, you get a paycheck. You're guaranteed a paycheck. You go to work, you get paid. As the investor, you don't get any guarantees. You invest your money here, hoping to see a return, but there's a chance that your investment will go to zero. There's a chance that you'll make no money in returns. There's a chance you could see huge returns. So you have the potential to make a lot of money, you have the upside return potential, but you also have the risk of losing everything. And so to compensate for the risk, you have the upside potential. And this is where now you have to understand the system and not just rely on your salary and understand how you can use the system to your advantage. This doesn't mean that you have to go out and start your own company. Because the reality, I've learned this the hard way, because I used to think that anybody could start a business, so I tried to push a lot of my friends to go out and start a company, and then I saw some people just were not cut out to build a business. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, not everybody should be an entrepreneur. However, in America, in this country, the way that our system is run, everybody needs to be a business owner. Now you might be hearing me saying that and say, Jaspreet, what do you mean? You just said not everybody should be an entrepreneur, not everybody should start a company, but everybody should be a business owner? Yes, because you can be a business owner without operating and managing the company. But there are so many different ways to do this. Obviously, the most simple and most accessible way is just by investing your money into a company on the stock market, because when you do that, you're investing in the company, and now you have a piece of the equity. But now what are you doing? Now you want to see this system work. You want to see the profits grow. You want to see the efficiency grow. You want to see the value of the company grow. And as that happens, you get benefited. And in this system, this is how it works. Now you can hate it, you can love it, but the emotions are really irrelevant. The reality is this is what happens day in and day out, and the people that understand this become incredibly wealthy. The people who understand how the system works make so much money because they understand the system. It's not emotional. They just understand what's happening, versus the people that kick, complain, cry, scream. They're the ones that get screwed over by the system day in and day out. And it's very unfortunate because most of us are never taught this. I was never taught this. No one told me this going to school. My parents are immigrants from a state in India called Punjab. I never had any sort of entrepreneurship education. I had no sort of investing education. These were things that I had to learn the hard way, by making mistakes, by losing money, by screwing up, by trying things, by doing things. And this is where I want you to understand this is how the system works. School teaches you to be an employee. It teaches you to work at a company to help the company grow. See, when you work at a company, you're working to help the company produce this product. That way it can ultimately grow its profits. That way it can ultimately grow its valuation, which benefits the shareholders. Sure, you benefit as well. You get your paycheck, you get your salary, maybe you get some benefits, you get some health care, maybe you get some PTO. But at the end of the day, the person who wins the most in our economic system isn't just the worker, it is the owner. Now, as the owner, you take on the most risk because there's a chance that things will go to zero. There's a chance that the economy will fail. There's a chance that we're going to see a recession. There's a chance that all these things can happen, which can hurt the value of your investment, which means that you can see your investment go down to zero. However, there's also a chance that the opposite happens. There's a chance that you could see your investment 10x, 20x, 100x, which means that you have no upside to how much money you can make, but there's a downside that you could lose all of your money and more, depending on if you're using debt or not. And this is where now you want to strategically use the system, which means, yes, you don't have to go out and start a company if you are not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is great. If you feel like you had the entrepreneurial bug, then by all means, go out and start a company, learn, make the mistakes, and try. But if you don't have the entrepreneurial bug, that's okay. Go work for your company. Do the best that you can to be the best worker for your company that you can to provide the most value. That way you can work your way up in the company as long as you do something that you love. If you hate the company, then look for something that you're actually passionate about. Do something that you enjoy doing. But then when you earn your income, take a piece of your income every time you get paid and invest it. That way you can own a piece of the production, whether it's investing in the stock market, whether it's investing directly into startups. There's new platforms out there, like Republic is one, where now you can invest in startup companies with as little as $100. They're not paying me to say this, it's just one example of a platform where you can invest in these types of startups with very little money, and now you take on a lot of risk because most startups will fail, but you're investing in companies at a very early stage. And if you can invest in a good company that does not fail and that gets acquired or that goes public, well, then you can see huge returns on your money. So it's just understanding risk versus reward. You can invest in real estate. If you don't want to go out and invest in physical real estate, you can invest in real estate funds. All these things are now accessible thanks to the internet, and you can start investing with literally less than $100. And it's changing the way that we use our money, because we are taught to go to school, get a degree, get a good job, and then if you do that, you will become financially successful, or you'll just become successful, and we assume that means financially successful. But just because you have a good degree doesn't mean you're going to be financially successful. I can tell you this because I went through law school, but I don't practice as an attorney because it's not worth my time financially, and it's not my passion. I like doing what I do now. I like running market briefs. I like running the companies that I'm doing. I like this more than I would like reading a whole bunch of contracts and doing a whole bunch of law work every single day. It's just not my passion. It doesn't get me excited. Now, I have met some attorneys. Some of them are very boring people, but they love doing that. And they're very good at it. And this is what they live for. And those are the type of people that I want to hire as an attorney. People who are actually passionate, who like reading legal cases, who wake up thinking about the law because this is something that they enjoy. And yeah, it's going to sound weird, but some people actually enjoy that. And this is where now you got to understand, when you're working for the paycheck, you got to think a little bit different, because we live in this consumerism culture where it is very normal to spend every dollar that you earn and more thanks to credit cards and buy now, pay later and home equity lines of credit and all these different tools which allow you to spend more money than you have today. And what are you spending this money on? It's not on an income producing asset. It's not something that's productive that's going to make you more money. It's a liability. It's a Gucci handbag. It's a Louis Vuitton. It's a vacation. It's going out and living this fancy lifestyle so you look rich, which in reality, all it's doing is it's making everybody else around you rich, but it's keeping you broke. Because every time you spend $1 on something that's not making you money, it's making somebody else rich, but it's keeping you broke. When you have the BMW, when you have the Gucci, when you have the Louis Vuitton, when you're going on the vacations, all these things are nice. They look good on social media. You get to post on Instagram. You get to tell all your friends. You got to do all this cool stuff. You spend thousands of dollars and it's fun, but it's not making you any wealthier. It's making the companies wealthier. Every time you go out and buy a BMW, it's making the BMW company richer. When you go out and buy a Gucci handbag, it's making Gucci rich. When you go out and buy some Louis Vuitton, it's making them rich. When you buy some Lululemon, it's making Lululemon rich. When you have the newest AirPods and the newest iPhone, it's making Apple rich. But it's not making you rich, because none of these things are putting any money in your pocket. Now you can flip the script and you can invest in the Apple Corporation. You can invest in the Lululemon Corporation. You can invest in all these different companies, but it's a different mindset now, where now you're working to own a piece of the company instead of just being a pawn in the system that's working to get paid to make everybody else around you rich. And this is the thing that school will never teach you, because school is designed to breed employees. Now again, there's nothing wrong with being an employee, because being an entrepreneur is hard. It's not for everybody. It's just like being a doctor is hard. It's not for everybody. There's nothing wrong with being a doctor. There's nothing wrong with being an accountant. There's nothing wrong with being an attorney. But you got to figure out what is the right career path for you. But then understand that no matter what you become, you have to be an investor. Our system benefits investors and business owners more than anything else. And if you don't want to start a business, that's fine, but you have to be an investor. You have to be a business owner. Even if you don't want to be in the business of operating a company, you have to be an owner of a business. And when you do that, not only do you get the financial upside, you also get the tax upside, and you also get the legal upside. And this is where now you have to understand how wealthy people function in this country, because when you understand the system, again, I'm saying this like this because most of us are never taught this, but when you understand the system, you have the opportunity to make a ton of money. You have the opportunity to become insanely wealthy, but you have to understand the system. That way you can use it to your advantage instead of just watching everybody else do it, instead of just watching everybody else get rich. That way you can benefit from the system, because once you do that, now you can take better care of yourself, you can take better care of your family, you can take better care of your community, and then you can help spread the education. That way you can win in this economic system, because education is meant to be spread. And in this economic system, if you don't understand the way the system works, well, you're just going to continue to be screwed over by the system. And we see it happen again and again and again, because it's profitable to keep people broke. It's profitable to keep people financially poor. But if you don't understand it, you're just going to continue to be stuck in it, and you're going to continue to hate it. But once you understand it, that's when you understand that the system is emotionless, and you can understand how to use the system to your advantage. Now, of course, if you want to dig a little bit deeper into the actual investing side of how do you actually invest your money, put it to work, even if you don't have a ton of money, me and my team put together a free ebook on passive income, and you can read it for free. All you got to do is click the link down in the description below. But this is where it's taking the first step of learning, and understand that your education does not end at school. It just starts at school. And now once you have that degree, understand what that degree gives you. Maybe it gives you some status. Maybe it gives you some nice art for the wall. Maybe it gets you into the door at a job. But that's not where your financial education and your financial success ends. And this is why so many people who are high income earners, people like doctors who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, are still broke, because they have no idea of how to use their money. You think, oh, I'm making a few $100,000 a year, I'm set. But now you got to have the doctor lifestyle. I'm telling you this from experience, because I was supposed to be a doctor. My parents really, really, really wanted me to be a doctor. When they found out that I wasn't going to be a doctor, they said that I have to at least go out and become an attorney if I want to maintain any pride in the family, because they didn't understand this financial education at the time. And so that's what I did. I became an attorney, but I never worked a day as an attorney. But I know a lot of doctors. And I can tell you that just because you make a big salary doesn't mean you're going to be rich. And so, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and still be broke, because now once you make that doctor salary, you want the doctor lifestyle. You need the doctor cars. You need the Range Rover. You need the Benz. You need the doctor home. You need the mansion. You need the doctor vacations. You got to have the doctor lifestyle. And now all of a sudden, yeah, you make a big salary, but your expenses are right up there with you. And that's why there's a lot of doctors who are living paycheck to paycheck. I was just reading a study, I forget who published this, but it said that about 50% of Americans making over $250,000 a year are also living paycheck to paycheck. It's not how much money you make, it's what you do with the money you make. And once you understand how to use the money you make, that's when making more money has the biggest impact and the most power, because now that you know how to use your money, you can earn more money and know how to use it to make you wealthy instead of just making everybody else around you rich. And this is where you have to start by understanding the system. Understand that, okay, school taught me to be an employee, but wealth does not come from being an employee, no matter what type of employee you are. Whether you're making hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars a year. Now it's understanding how to use your income from your job, put it to work to capitalize on our system. That way you can actually build true wealth over the long term. So the last thing that I want to mention is that this true wealth doesn't happen overnight. It's not something that happens in 6 months or 12 months. It's something that happens over the long term, where you consistently keep investing your money. Anytime you get paid, make your investments like an expense. Make it like a bill, where every time you get paid, you have to pay yourself first. You want to put some money aside for your investments, whether it's stocks, whether it's startups, whether it's real estate, maybe it's cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter what the investments are. You got to believe in it, and you have to understand the investment. I have tons of videos on my channel where I talk about how to invest. You can check out my ebook if you want to learn more. But in that actual how to invest, that's a different topic. But now when we talk about actually planning to invest, that's where you want to consistently keep investing a piece of your income every time you get paid from here on out. That way you can truly build this wealth over long term, because real wealth is compounded and built in silence, while that richness is flashy and loud, and it also leaves very quickly. A lot of people that I know, they are so hesitant to making that first investment, because what if I do something wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if my investment goes down? And so the simple thing
that's happened to me multiple times.
Yeah, but you learn every time, right?
Yeah.
It's your tuition. It's your real tuition. And you have to be willing to try things, because if you don't, you're going to get stuck in the game of what if. What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work out? Well, what if it goes up? What if you learn? I have